Alright YouTube, so we are back with some Final Fantasy VII Remake content. Today we're doing a discussion that I've wanted to do for quite a while now about which edition of the game is worth buying, which is kind of crazy, I know, because you've been able to pre-order and buy this game as far back as I think when they revealed it back in 2015. You could go on Amazon and pre-order it then. And obviously we had the multiple editions shown to us at E3 2019, the Standard Edition, Deluxe Edition, and First Class Edition, so I'm sure most people out there have already bought their versions, but I still think it's a discussion worth having for those that have not bought their copy yet, but also for those that might want to change which version or where they bought the game from, because I did come across an interesting piece of information that I'm not sure other people know. But before we hop into the video, I did create a second channel. There's only the one video on the channel right now. I know Dashing David Tube, super innovative name, but it explains the entire situation. But the TLDR is that I got 2 copyright strikes from Square Enix recently, which is very bad. I'm honestly not sure what was in those videos to constitute copyright infringement, because the strike does not tell me, and I don't even know what I showed in those videos that other channels haven't shown. And also, you have all these videos out there with the full demo footage, like, 30 minutes to an hour of just demo footage. And those videos are still up and have been up for almost a week, but for some reason, my videos got hit. I don't know why. Anyways, the second channel is there as a backup. I'm not going to flood your timeline or your newsfeed with a bunch of videos from 2 different channels and stuff. It's not going to happen. There will be videos on that channel every now and then. I don't know how often. There's no upload schedule. It's not going to be daily content. It might not even be weekly content. But we'll put stuff out every now and then just on kind of whatever I want to talk about. I know, kind of long-winded, but I'm trying to explain the entire situation as quick as I can. The other channel will be linked in the description below at the top of the description. I'd appreciate any support on that channel. Just go over there and subscribe. You don't even necessarily got to watch the content or even that video that's there. But we've recently got a lot of traction to this channel. We're starting to get a lot of views every single video, which is nice to see. And then all of a sudden, here I am on the verge of the channel being deleted, and I don't even know why. Back to the topic at hand. When it comes to the remake, there's only the 3 versions that we looked at earlier. The Standard Edition is your standard $60 purchase, but if you pre-order it, you get the Chocobo Chick Summon. As of right now, we do not know what the Chocobo Chick Summon does. Hell, when these editions were announced at E3 2019, we hadn't even seen a summon yet for the game. Now, Chocobo-related summons aren't anything that's necessarily new to the Final Fantasy series. We've had them in the series as far back as Final Fantasy IV. Quick correction, there actually was a Chocobo summon in Final Fantasy III, but for whatever reason, the Wikia wasn't showing it. 5 also had a Chocobo summon, so did 8, so did Crisis Core, and of course the original Final Fantasy VII. Now, we have seen the modern interpretation of the Chocomog summon from Final Fantasy VII, at least through some images that Square Enix has released. And because of that, we now know that the summon is returning, so I have no idea exactly what Chocobo Chicks is gonna do. But either way, you get this exclusive summon if you pre-order any copy of the game, which could mean that once the game is actually officially out on March 3rd, you could no longer get this. The summon is no longer going to be available, but there is the possibility that sometime in the future, they could sell it separately. We've seen that plenty of times with pre-order bonuses. Now, the Deluxe Edition of the remake is a big step up from the Standard Edition, as it should be since you are paying more money. For your extra $20, you're getting a Steelbook case, an art book, a mini soundtrack CD. You're also, if you pre-order, get the Chocobo Chick Summon, but you also get the Cactuar Summon. Also, really quickly, something I forgot to mention earlier is that any physical copy of the game now will have a reversible cover where you can get the Japanese cover, which is the solid black with just the Final Fantasy VII Remake logo. I don't know why anybody would want that, but it's there. Now, when it comes to the Cactuar Summon, I'm not sure if this is something that is exclusive to both the Deluxe Edition and the First Class Edition, where you only get it if you buy either of those versions. Or if they might possibly sell the Cactuar Summon separately, so maybe you could just buy the base game and then just spend a couple bucks and buy the Cactuar Summon. And by the way, why I'm putting so much emphasis on the Summon DLCs is because the other stuff is cool, but it doesn't really interest me. If I'm buying a Deluxe Edition of a game, I want in-game bonuses. The Steelbook case is cool, the art book case is cool, but I don't really care about that. I'd rather have outfits in-game, or weapons in-game, or more summons in-game. Now, that is just me personally. That is my thoughts on it. There are plenty of people out there who love IRL collectible items, and that's perfectly fine. I'm just saying I'm focusing on the in-game bonuses. Now, we have had very few Cactuar summons in the Final Fantasy series. We had a Guardian Force in Final Fantasy VIII, and then we had a summon in Crisis Core. As for what it'll do in Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's hard to say. We know that traditionally with Cactuars, they have their 1,000 needle attack where they hit you for exactly 1,000 damage, or there are some in other games where they do 10,000 needles. What we know about summons is that they can only be used against powerful enemies and boss fights, and I'm assuming we're going to start Final Fantasy VII Remake with these bonus materia. So we're going to have the summon materia, Cactuar, Carbuncle, and Chocobo Chick, with the first boss fight, with the Guard Scorpion. So if the Cactuar summon is running around in boss fights just doing 1,000 needles repeatedly, you're going to decimate every early to mid-game boss fight, and it's going to be very boring. And we also know that you can give commands to summons. Summons have their own abilities and things that you can do while they're out in combat, so I don't even know what those would be. He's probably just going to run around attacking normally, maybe hitting for mild damage, whatever the case, and maybe 1,000 needles or even 10,000 needles is like his finishing move he does when he leaves the battlefield. But even then, like 10,000 needles would probably one-shot most of the early game bosses because we're not doing that much damage to them. We're only hitting for tens of damage whenever we're doing combos. Now we move on to this version of the game, the First Class Edition. The only difference between this and the Deluxe Edition is the Play Arts figure and the Carbuncle summon. Oh yeah, and that massive price tag. Now again, stuff like this is desired. There's a reason this version of the game has been sold out pretty much since it got revealed. But this version of the game and the Deluxe Edition are relatively the same outside of two things, right? But you're paying $80 for the Deluxe Edition or $330 for this version. And for me personally, somebody that doesn't really do collectible stuff, that's just way too much, man. Now obviously Carbuncle is a relatively well-known summon. He's been in the series for a long time, but not as long as I initially thought because he didn't even join the series until Final Fantasy V. Which I actually wasn't aware of until looking into it for this video. I thought he's a more like OG summon for the series like Final Fantasy 1 or 2, but no. That means that there's actually a Chocobo summon in the series before Carbuncle. Typically when it comes to Carbuncle, he's a supportive summon in that he does not actually come out and do damage. Traditionally he comes out and puts Reflect on your entire party. Some games he also does Protect and maybe even Shell. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how they handle Carbuncle with Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm assuming he's going to run around the battlefield and fight with us, otherwise he'd be kind of a waste. But maybe he'll be different. Maybe he hangs back during the fight and just casts like little buff spells and things on our characters. But also, what's his big move going to be when he leaves the battlefield? Like everybody else, like Ifrit, for example, does Hellfire when he leaves, which does big damage to the boss, right? So what is Carbuncle going to do? Is he just going to cast some protective spells on our characters, or is he going to do some big attack when he leaves? So we've taken a look at all three different editions and kind of what they offer. And the point of actually why I got around to making this video finally is I came across a little piece of information that I was not aware of. And instead, if you actually pre-order the Digital Deluxe Edition, you're going to get all three summons. It actually comes with the Carbuncle summon that I thought was previously locked behind the First Class Edition. Now look, this might be relatively common knowledge, but I talk about this game every single day of my life and I was not aware of this information. So I'm assuming there's at least a decent amount of people out there that don't know this either. So for somebody like me who doesn't really care about the physical items that come with this version of the game, the Digital Deluxe version is by far the optimal purchase. For the exact same price of $80, you're still getting everything you see here. You're just getting a digital version of the art book and a digital version of the soundtrack. They obviously cannot give you a digital version of the Steelbook case, which is probably why they're throwing in the Carbuncle summon. To sort of make up for that Steelbook case you're not getting with your purchase, the question you got to ask yourself, though, is if you're getting the Digital Deluxe version, is Cactuar and Carbuncle worth the extra $20? The digital art book and digital soundtrack are honestly worthless because the things are going to be online when the game comes out anyways. You could download and get them for free. And obviously Chocobo Chick with any version doesn't cost you anything, it's just a pre-order bonus. So plenty of people out there already bought the First Class Edition, so they have access to everything. That's cool. A lot of us, most of us, are probably going to get the Deluxe Edition, but the question then becomes, do you want those physical items you get with the physical version of the game, or do you want that Carbuncle summon that you're not going to have access to at all, potentially? It's hard to know whether or not the Cactuar summon and Carbuncle summon are worth that extra $20 without knowing exactly what they do in-game, but it's still the version I'm going to go for. But anyways, my dudes, that's pretty much the video. It's something I want to talk about for a long time now, and I kept putting it off until I came across that little piece of information, Carbuncle being a part of the Digital Deluxe Edition, and that's when I figured it was finally video-worthy. But as always, I pass off to you guys in the comment section. If you have pre-ordered Final Fantasy VII Remake, which version did you get? For me personally, it was always going to be the Deluxe Edition, but now it's going to be the Digital Deluxe Edition. Either way, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys aren't new. Want to get more Final Fantasy VII Remake content. Turn on my notifications. Follow me on Twitter at _David. I'm a Discord. Links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
Give me a smile, give me forever for a while, give me forever for a while. Quit acting like a